Podcasting is a great way to engage with your audience and stay consistently relevant. The only problem is you don't have the time or desire to produce your own show. You simply want it done for you, and that's where Social Chameleon comes in. All you need to do is press record and upload the files. We'll handle the rest. From planning, production, post-production, distribution, and digital marketing, we have you covered. We realize that times are tough and funds are tight, and Social Chameleon believes in building supportive business relationships. By clicking on the link in this promo, we'll provide you 7 free podcasting tips to get started, as well as a free 30-minute online consultation. This is the perfect opportunity for entrepreneurs, keynote speakers, industry experts, influencers, and anybody who has a personal brand. With Social Chameleon, we help you build a brand that is out of this world. We're ready and waiting, so what are you waiting for? Click on the link to get started today. Hey guys, we have a special guest today, so get your notebooks and your highlighters out. This is going to be a mini masterclass. My guest is an internationally recognized speaker, management consultant, and an author. After retiring from his first career at age 38, he went on to become a partner at one of the top management training firms in North America, where he was able to help increase revenue by 18 times over. He has presented to over 2,000 lectures to tens of thousands of professionals and business owners, and has a unique ability to teach management, leadership, and sales in a way that produces real results in the real world. He's currently involved in running 4 different companies and loves every minute of it. Naturally, his book, Fun at Work, lays out the exact methods he's used that has allowed him to achieve massive success and actually enjoy what he does every single day. Welcome to the show, the CEO and executive mentor of Matterhorn Business Development, Dr. Greg Winteregg.
Wow, Mike, that may be the best introduction I've ever had in 40 years.
Hey, I'm ready. Are you ready to be the best guest? I'm mic'd up right now.
Bring it.
I mean, we got 58 episodes out as I record this, and I want to say this is the most prepared I've been for a guest because I actually had the opportunity of taking Greg's one of your webinars. I know you have many coaching platforms, right? So if I just say your webinar, that's not specific enough. But it was a Matterhorn business development course. I have notes right here in my book the other day. These are fresh.
Perfect.
This is fresh. It's fresh in my mind. So I feel like I'm more prepared than ever.
That's great.
And so what I'm going to do for anyone who's tuning in and maybe they're not familiar with you, maybe they're living under a rock and they're not too familiar with your content.
No, I don't claim to be all that famous, but thank you for.
Well, you're doing your thing, so they definitely you deserve the attention. People can check it out at matterhornbizdev.com. It's MatterhornBizdev.com. On Instagram, it's at Greg Winteregg, GregWinteregg, and also at Matterhorn Biz, which is BIZ. You guys can connect with Greg on LinkedIn like I did. I believe that's how we originally connected.
That's how this all started. You bet.
This all started on LinkedIn. I preach it all the time. Guys, when you're on social media, I have an idea. Be social. Connect with people. Actually, write them a message. That's how I reached out to Greg, or he may have reached out to me. Who remembers now? Right. Dr. Greg Winteregg, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. So I'll just give folks the 3-minute short version of my life. I was raised in the restaurant business in a small town in Indiana of 3,000. Winteregg is Swiss. It's a bit of an odd name. And it's not even a very popular name or big name in Switzerland. But I was raised in Bern, Indiana, which was founded by my ancestors and a bunch of other folks in 1850. And so I had an entrepreneurial upbringing. I went to dental school, graduated in 81, bought a small practice in a little town of 10,000 in north central Indiana up by South Bend, and built that practice fairly steadily, but still the business of dentistry was a bit frustrating because it wasn't like running a restaurant. Right. And so I connected with a management company in Chicago, which taught me business basics. And some of those business basics are framed in my book. and basically learned how to promote. I learned how to sell. I learned how to organize and manage and hire. And I'd had a lot of consulting with people who came to my practice, and I spent $60,000 in the '80s on on-site consulting. And
that's a ton of money today. I mean, back
oh
then.
yeah, that's a bunch today. I don't know what that would be today.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is when I just started getting business training, nobody came to my office.
Right.
Like, do the course, do the seminar, go back and apply. And within 12 months, the business doubled. Brought on an associate, trained an office manager. And like you said, by age 38, I was semi-retired. I was only working about 20 to 22 hours a week, taking vacation when I wanted. I had my first Corvette. I had a little Cessna airplane. I had a great house. And I was going to be doing another location, and the partners at the management company offered me a partnership there. So in December of '93, I sold my practice and became a partner there. And today we're arguably the largest dental practice management training company in North America, with clients in 48 states, half the provinces in Canada. Big location, St. Petersburg, satellite office in Anaheim, St. Petersburg, Florida, Anaheim, California.
Absolutely incredible.
I joke and I say that I'm easily bored. So I just turned 65 this summer, but about 5 years ago now, I went to my partner. I'm like, I'd like to restructure this and do something else. So I still lecture at the management company. I was there for 3 days last week. But Matterhorn is an extension and a broadening of that horizon with general business owners.
Right.
And the book is kind of like a business autobiography for me of what I've figured out in many different management training programs, et cetera, which maybe would be a podcast for another day. But at any rate, where I'm at right now is I'm focusing mainly on Matterhorn and business mentoring. And I like mentoring better than coaching or consulting, because to me, and this is just my definition, and I don't know that there are standard definitions, but coaching and consulting is more like, okay, so I know how to do a podcast. I've got 3 million podcast listeners, and I'm going to come in, Mike, and I'm going to teach you how to do a podcast. Do this, don't do that. It's almost like somebody calling the shots, looking over your shoulder from the sideline. Well, for me as a mentor, what I tell my clients is once a month, twice a month, or once a week, we're going to get in a helicopter and we're going to go above the fray.
Right.
And so I'm just going to look at the big picture and come up with strategy, battle plans, action plans, monitor statistical results and the KPIs. And whatever strategy we're running has to be increasing the business, or it's a bad strategy. So it's a very, very broad look. The results we're getting right now, even during COVID, are phenomenal, with doubling and tripling some small businesses, et cetera. So it's been a lot of fun.
I mean, that was a lot there. And thank you for giving us a little bit of the backstory too. I want to make sure before we get into the juicy content in that like mini masterclass, because there's so much we're going to uncover in the next 40 minutes here. But I'd like to go back to you starting a dentist practice. But here's the deal. You were successful at a young age. You mentioned all the great things that came along with it, right? That you appreciated and were grateful for right out of the gates though. But you also surrounded yourself. We were talking about off camera, the book, Think and Grow Rich. One of the big focuses in the book is having a mastermind group. And it sounds like you almost were building that. You had your accountant who was really a smart guy and helped you make things happen early on. You shared that in your webinar with me. And you had some other people around you. Now, quick 2 questions, really. Why dentistry? Was that something that you had a vision for? That's question 1. And then question 2 is, did you come from a family of entrepreneurs, whether it's your father, grandfather, that kind of thing? Or
so question 1, when I was in high school, I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do. And my dad bumped into our dentist. And at the time I was about, I think 16, 17. And our dentist like, what's Greg going to do? And my dad, I was thinking about being an athletic trainer because I was a student trainer for the high school teams. And he said, well, why don't you have him come over to my office on Saturday? So I went and I watched him work on patients for a Saturday morning, and I was instantly hooked. It was just so, and nobody likes going to the dentist. I don't like going to the dentist. But here's what really excited me is people would walk in with a problem and he would solve the problem for them before they left.
Right.
And I just thought it was amazing. and I've always been a bit technical with my hands, etc. And so I was fortunate enough to get into dental school. There were like 1,140 applications for 130 spots. And so I was just like, I kept doing my undergraduate. If I get in, I'm going to be a dentist. And if I don't, I'm going to be an athletic trainer.
But
And
that's
so
important. You had this specific experience. Who did you say that dentist was that you were meant, that was kind of
my family dentist.
that was your family dentist? So you
My
were going to
family
the
dentist.
dentist, and you understood that this guy kind of is taking a consultant approach to dentistry.
Yep.
And when someone comes in here, he's like a detective. He's trying to figure out what's wrong. And I've had some bad dentists in my life, and I've had some good ones.
Yeah.
The best one, it's like we talk about football 90% of the time, and then he
Right.
cleans my teeth and I get out of there usually without
Right.
any bleeding, and that's a good thing. But yeah, like so you saw an expert in his field kind of putting on the detective cap and solving, and that made you're interested in that. Not so much the game itself, but
Right.
really the scope of how they were helping you out. Right?
Exactly. And it was a scope of, because I mentioned I was a student athletic trainer while I was in high school, and that was fun because the athlete is injured. I help him go through rehab. I tape his ankle up so he can play. And I really like that helping aspect. And there's only 200,000 dentists in the United States to service 350 million people. And there's only about 125 dental offices. So it's kind of an exclusive group and very, very niche source of help. And people who go to the dentist and are able to keep their teeth live 10 years longer than people without. So for me, it was all about who can I help? How much can I help? How big can I help? And then it's like, well, why would I sell my practice? Because now I'm helping millions of patients through thousands of dental practices. So I've just, in that arena, been able to broaden the scope of helping people keep their teeth.
Something I thought of while you said that, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I didn't know we'd go too far into the dentist thing, but I think it's important for all of us to know, obviously having a clean mouth and healthy teeth is important. But something that was always preached to me was flossing and what is it, gingivitis, that can cause problems with your heart. And I never thought, well, my teeth and gums are connected to my heart. Tell that story quick.
Wow. That data about how gum disease and decay in your mouth affects your heart came out like 30 years ago. But I'm telling you now, they're actually linking it to cancer.
Wow.
Dementia, high blood pressure. I mean, oral disease creates systemic disease, and that data is all, pretty much been solidified in the last 5 or 10 years.
And it's pretty easy upkeep. I mean, you brush your teeth 3 times a day, or at least twice a day in the morning after, before bed.
Yeah.
And, floss or clean or whatever. And maybe
your dentist twice a year.
Rinse with some, I don't know if Listerine, they're not a sponsor. They're not a sponsor, but I'll throw them out there. I always like Listerine's usually go to brand for me. So that's great.
As far as like an entrepreneurial background, the restaurant was started 1 month after I was born in this little town with my dad and his brother, my uncle. And it was the place where everybody, like Sunday after church, everybody's lined out the door. After the basketball and the football games, the place is packed. It was almost an Al's drive-in kind of a theme from Happy Days.
Happy Days.
Yeah. But it's interesting, as I was growing up, because I started working there when I was very, very young. I would ask my dad a lot of questions about pricing, costing. How do you decide how much to charge for a hamburger? And so I did get that entrepreneurial background. And my dad passed away in 1999, and my uncle pulled my brother and I over to the side and said, just so you know, without your dad, there would have been no restaurant. And so I did have a grounding in that. And I also saw my dad branch outside of just the restaurant. He would have another little project that he would make some money on the side or run a special. And so that was kind of ingrained into me. And my brother he's a financial planner, but he has his own firm. He has his own clients. And so we were kind of raised in an entrepreneurial background.
So your dad got to experience about 10 years of your success. Is that right? Before passing. And we talked about the helicopter view, right? Did he ever take you in the helicopter view as a mentor while you were starting off in those first 10 years? Or?
Yeah, it's because I got my grounding in the restaurant business before I went to college. And then afterwards, we didn't talk much business.
You kind of like took what you learned firsthand and applied those
Right.
principles. So
See, then I think it's also important, even though I had a good start, I needed to finish it. And that's when I went to the dental practice management company and got more specific on dentistry. But kind of what my entrepreneurial training is, it's kind of gone, how do I do this for the screen? It's kind of gone wide to narrow, niching into dentistry, and now it's going wide to get into general business. So at Matterhorn now we have a painter, a residential architect and engineer, pest control, landscaping, 3 chiropractors, an attorney. So it's broad. Now my entrepreneurial mentoring is going more broad.
You took something you're an expert in, dentistry, a little bit of restaurant ownership in the family, and you took those principles, which I love. And we're going to talk about those in a couple questions, the 4 pillars of success.
Yes.
So hold your thoughts on that. But
sure.
What I love again about what you taught in your lesson the other day was these core principles that helped you build your dentist practice. You talked about having a landscaper you worked with, which you can share that story. It could be me, a podcasting company, that I started recently. You take these core things, and it's just like if you were talking to a dietitian, and they're going to help figure out what the right foods for you to eat are and what your exercise regimen should look like and what this, that, and the other thing look like. And you're going to see results. Your results are business results, which are income, and financial freedom is typically the end goal. Everyone has their own why and purpose. So we're going to talk about the 4 pillars of success. Before we do that quick, there was a quote you said that I wrote down, and it's you stress the importance and mindset of stop working in your business and start working on your business. Elaborate that for us.
So when you're working in your business, let's take a look at the landscaper and yard guy. When we picked him up in October of 2019, it was him, 2 guys on a crew. He'd been open for a little over a year. He had 55 yards that they were cutting. He was doing landscaping for some of those folks. And he's in the business every day. He's getting up, he's getting his hands dirty, he's working in the business. And then, so we've been talking to him twice a month. So that was October of 19, then November of this year. So that's 13, 14 months. On one of the calls, he's like, Greg, this is really awesome. I now have 2 3-man crews. I don't have to go to the job site. We've got them trained up. And I got up this morning, it's Monday, and I don't have anything to do. What do I do now?
Live life a little bit, man. You earned it.
So then we had this conversation about now you work on the business. We promote, we expand, we get another crew. What are your long-term goals, et cetera, et cetera. So working on the business is not being in there doing the day-to-day work of the business. It's now you're in the helicopter, you're up above, you're creating strategic planning, et cetera. And then you have managers who are making sure the other players in your game, the other team members, are servicing the customer and helping them solve their problem.
Quick question, something I didn't think about prior. This example makes me think of it. So starting to work on the business, not in the business, how important do you feel it is that the entrepreneur or the person who thinks up the idea of the business actually works in it first? Like a restaurant owner who understands the kitchen and maybe working as in a diner as a youngster, who's then going to manage it. Because think about a restaurant manager who's never actually waited a table or cooked before or prepped. So how important is it for that landscaper to maybe be the one-man show for a little bit so he can properly train?
It's critical. It's critical. So whenever there's any activity that I have a new idea for, I have to go do it. First of all, it can't just be my idea and this is what I think you should be able to do. I have to be able to go do it and find out what are the problems and create a system. So then I can hire you to come in and I can teach you what I've done. With video now and audio, and so it's never been easier to train your replacement. So by all means, because I can't sit here, if you're working for me, Mike, I can't sit here and give you a quota that I've never done. You know, my best week ever is 10 sales, and now I'm going to give you a quota of 20. That's ridiculous. So yes,
Let's just say it's not going to work out too well because they're going to smell through it. They're going to see through it. You're going to have disgruntled employees. People are just going to drop like flies.
Yeah.
So really, I wasn't trying to frame it up as kind of a trick question or anything.
No, not at all.
It's important for people to realize a lot of times everyone wants to scale their business. It's like you got to work in your business first for a while so you can learn those things and then teach and educate, because otherwise, how are you going to have a checks and balances? How are you going to know if the next landscaper on your third crew is doing the right things if you've never actually dug out a bush? He's asking this question. You're going to come and look at it and be like, I don't know what's going on.
It would be like, just to take like with the chiropractic analogy, somebody graduates from chiropractic college and they go buy 3 practices and now I'm the CEO. That's a disaster.
Yeah.
Because they haven't adjusted patients. They haven't gotten patients well. So by all means, your point is perfect. It's spot on. You got to be able to get down in and do the work. But then, see, this is where people miss it, is you have to be able to extract yourself. And in my book, I talk about how I specialize in replacing myself. I'm always looking for my replacement. But then as I'm replacing myself, I have to leave behind training materials and checks and balances and monitors so that I know that it's being done as well as I can do it.
I think of the analogy too, if you're trying to get to, what's that movie, A Mad World, where they're all going after the treasure, right?
Yep.
The big X, right? Or is it an X or is it a W? I forget.
I think it was an X, but that's a bit of an old movie. So
yeah. I forget now. I haven't seen it since I was a kid. But my point is, you got all these people. It's a fun movie. All these people trying to go and find the one thing. But now, if one of those many people had been there before, and they can retract, oh, I went this way, I turned down this street, I went up this hill, and then you came back and told me, Mike, you go here, you turn on this street, you go up the hill, six minutes down the street, dig right there when you see the red house. It's going to be so much easier to get there. So when you've done it, and then you can then tell someone to do it, you're cutting out all the extra fat, waste, and disaster of the headaches that the entrepreneur has. Like, let us get the gray hair, and then you can then teach someone to be more lean when they're coming in to replace you. So it's not going to take them 3 years to figure it out. It'll take them 3 months.
Your restaurant analogy was perfect. You can't be the manager of a restaurant if you've never bussed a table. If you've never dropped food, if you've never dropped food on the floor and ruined the order and broken the plate, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, no, you have to get down in there and do it. And then what I do is I take the best workers, the best employees, and then train them to be a manager. So you have a crew of 3, you take the best one, and now they're the crew leader. So you promote people up through the organization, and
there's something too there with that. I think about sports teams, as you can see behind me. I'm a big fan of not only football, but many sports. And not every great player, MVP, Hall of Famer, makes a great coach. So sometimes there's qualities in a person that can really become a good coach or manager. So it's really important as like an owner of a company to understand the qualities of your team, just like who's going to be your leadoff hitter in the lineup, who's going to be your cleanup hitter, who's your base runner when you got someone on late in the game and you need to get over to third with 1 out, that kind of thing. Like, you got to know who you got in the restaurant. Someone is maybe just simply the best waitress, and she could be there for 30 years. It doesn't mean that she's a manager. She may be just the best waitress and want that for her career.
I want that for herself. But then what I would do is I'd approach the best waitress and say, listen, I need a head of waitressing in this restaurant. You're the best waitress I have. Do you want that management position? And someone go, oh my gosh, I'm so honored. Another goes like, nah, I'm not management. So, that's how you find your best managers.
Yeah. The best way is to be in your business side by side, asking these questions, behind the curtain, get to know your team. You'll know, you'll be able to, the helicopter view is great for mentorship, but it's not great for knowing your team. You got to also be on the ground level when you're building this stuff out.
And then when you are working on the business, there have to be constant meetings. There has to be, you have to have a minimum of a weekly meeting. Like if you have a shift leader or a crew leader or 2 or 3, you have to have a minimum of a weekly meeting with the crew leaders. And so everybody's on the same page. You're looking at statistics, your KPIs. So there must be a weekly meeting. And being a CEO and executive is not like, putting your feet up on your desk in the corner office. It's like, no, you still are connected to everybody. You're walking through the plant, so to speak, and you're talking to the employees, and you're going to the job site, and you're doing just spot checks and all that.
Your mess up is no longer a shattered plate. It could be, you make a misstep on a decision and it impacts a lot. It's a lot bigger. So
exactly.
Let's get over to those 4 pillars of success, which are sell, deliver, getting new customers, and management. Dive right in.
Right. So I have a chapter in my book called Business Basics, and I call it the 4 pillars of business basics. So you have marketing to get leads. Those leads have to be sold in the sales department. Then you have to deliver what was sold, at least to the level of what was sold, if not just a little bit better. And then management holds all of that together so that it can scale and expand. So it's marketing, then sales, then delivery, and then management. And marketing and sales has been kind of smushed together. You can have a director of marketing and sales, but at some point, as your company grows, you need a director of marketing and a director of sales, because marketing is promoting out to the public and getting people interested in the product. When you have someone interested, they have to be turned over to somebody to actually sell them and take their money.
Right.
So I
not only are those 2 different things, Greg, but there's a third one, branding. People think branding and marketing is the same too. That's a whole nother conversation and episode.
Whole nother conversation.
But really, yes, think of the car dealership. They have to have fantastic marketing, the flyers, the mailers, the commercial, the radio ad, the video ad, get it all out, the local TV station ad, and someone designs all of that. And then once the lead walks in the door and they're up, then the salesperson takes over from there. It's a process.
And then,
it's not
one
thing.
Correct. And then to your point on branding, that's a management responsibility. What is our niche? What is our brand? Who's our targeted market? How are we positioned within that market? That kind of thing. So, and you often see companies, Papa John's, he became just the face of Papa John's. There's the guy who has the My Pillow commercials now. And, so the CEO oftentimes will take on that branding or the face or the rainmaker, so to speak, that's going to bring in all the other connections. So but that's working on the business as just establishing the culture, et cetera. That would be a management function.
Yeah. Speaking of branding, I love your branding for Matterhorn, which Matterhorn, if you guys are listening, some of you may know this, some of you may not. It's literally a mountain in the Alps. It's a Matterhorn mountain. When you see it, you'll go, oh, I know that. I've seen that before.
That's right.
And so obviously I understand what mountains can mean visually for a business. I don't want to speak for you. Tell me why you use the mountains for Matterhorn. And then you have another business that also looks like there's mountains in the logo. So that's obviously something that's really in your branding. Talk about it.
Well, so Winteregg is Swiss, and the Matterhorn mountain is located in Zermatt, Switzerland, which is on the southern part of Switzerland. And so I was there in 2017, and I'm looking at the Matterhorn out the back of my hotel room, and I went to Wikipedia, and I'm like, what does this mean? What does Matterhorn mean? I thought it was German or something. Well, it is German, and it means mountain of mountains. And then I found out that almost 500 people have died climbing that just to get to its summit. And I remember very clearly, it was January 2017. I'm like, I'm going to start a company, and I'm going to call it the Matterhorn, Matterhorn something, and I'm going to be the best at it. But I don't know exactly what it is. And then Matterhorn Business Development was probably, 6 to 9 months down the road.
Yeah.
So my positioning with that now is you're trying to get to your summit. If you make a step, you can go bankrupt.
Yeah.
You can slip back and maybe not lose your business. The analogy for mentoring and mountain climbing is very, very, very similar. Yeah. But with a guide, there are people who can get you to the top of Matterhorn the easiest way in just a matter of hours. There's different slopes, and there's the difficult slope and the easier way and all of that. So it's like with a guide, you'll make it and you won't kill yourself. So that's how we figure us to be guides through the minefield of business and entrepreneurial, tragedy and all of that. And like, no, you don't want to do that. And
guys, don't overlook what Greg just said, because my question to him, I thought was going to be, and this is, I don't mean this to be a knock on Greg, but like, I thought it was just going to be like, mountains, like climb to the top of the mountain, you get there, like you're successful. No, He actually was there. He saw the mountain. He looked it up. He realized 500 people died climbing this thing. The reason that you can get to the top is having a guide. I want to be a mentor to other entrepreneurs. So there's an analogy here, like there's deep meaning. And I want to say, if you guys are starting a business or have a business, after you're listening to this, or pause it right now and grab your notebook and write down your brand and ask yourself, why is the logo what it is? And what the heck do you guys actually stand behind? Because Greg could just articulate it that well because he spent time on it. And guess what? It's a successful brand. Is that by surprise? No, it's by design because he's worked in it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head.
Yeah. We also, I'm going to say, you talk about this. You got a book over your left shoulder when I'm looking at you called Profit First. It's a huge lesson you teach in your webinars, in your coaching. And there's a correct formula. It's a little different than what most people think. It's sales minus profit equals expenses.
Right.
Give us the thought behind that.
Well, what we were finding is we were having success with clients. Like we had one client who had done 640,000, and then we took him to 860,000. Mm-hmm. So, that's like, what is that? A 40% increase. And, crazy. Abby, my daughter, and I were kind of proud of ourselves. And on the call after that year end and say, hey, you had like 35, 40% growth. That's pretty awesome. And he goes, yeah, I don't have any extra money. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, and we just do month to month agreements. These are not annual contracts. Right? So I'm like, he hung up. I'm like, is he going to fire us?
Right.
After we just did this.
You guys are to the moon excited about his increase in sales, but because he had an expense problem.
Right.
The line, and I wish we could show it. I could probably cut to that screen, but the line was thin because of the expenses were just as high. Just
the expenses went up with the revenue. Right. So
is that pretty common? Like that's got to be pretty common, right?
It's absolutely common. The business generally spends all the money that comes in under the supervision of the owner. So a friend of mine recommended the Profit First book to me. And I read it. I'm like, this is amazing. This is business cash flow management. And it's really what my dad had taught me. And it's what my accountant actually taught me when I opened my dental practice. And it's something that is a very broad topic. I mean, you have a contractor, like we have a contractor that does a couple of $1 million a year with tons of supply cost and independent contractor, subcontractor costs. And then you have a chiropractor who has none of that. I mean, so how in the world do you codify all this and settle it down and compartment it? So then I contacted the organization, and my daughter and I are now certified Profit First professionals. It was a very intense 6-month training program. We had to have 3 beta clients. We had to prove that we could implement the system. Now, here's the foundation of the system. The generally accepted accounting method is money comes in, bills are paid, you have your expenses, and then profit is what's left. And just like I experienced with this one client who had tremendous growth, he didn't have any extra profit. Mm-hmm. So then we started implementing Profit First, and that formula reverses it. So revenue comes in, you take your profit, and the owner gets paid, and money is set aside for taxes.
Taxes, yeah.
And then you run the company with what's left. Mm-hmm. And so the same.
So then you don't overspend on employees. You don't overspend on marketing. You don't overspend on business expenses
because the money is not travel. The money's not in the operating expenses account. It's just not there. We can't hire. We can't do the $30,000 website. We can't buy the $5,000 conference table. We can't afford $4,000 a month. We're going to use the space share for $795 a month. So it's like you start strategizing then with the operating expense money that's left over, versus strategizing with the expense money before the owner's even been paid, before taxes have been paid, before profits. You have this, it changes your strategy 180 degrees. Mm-hmm. So then we are all about strategic planning and then executing the action plan. So now your strategy is based on the expense account that's left over after the owner's been paid, after taxes are set aside, and after profit is set aside. And so it's just, and everybody's just making a ton of money. The same guy, he took a profit distribution at the end of the second quarter of 40,000. Just took another profit distribution in the middle of the fourth quarter, which kind of breaks the rules in here of another 20,000. But I'm just saying now there's fruit on the tree. This is a result of my work. Yes, I can spend this money here. It's set aside,
It's
and I
got to
did
feel
it.
different too, because when
Oh,
you're like going to play offense and do
yeah,
some more marketing and you have the dollars in your account, it's one thing to be like, we don't really have consistent flow. If a business says that to themselves or knows that that's the truth, that their cash flow is not consistent, but
yep,
they know they need to spend money on marketing. They can sell themselves on, we got to do that first, spend money to make money. You heard that over and over. And they
yep,
can do it, but they're doing it at a different kind of energy level than
yes.
okay, profit, or if revenue comes in, we're paid, our taxes are paid. And look, we got $12,000 in Q4 to spend on this big marketing for Black
You
Friday
got
and
it.
everything else. We're going to do this. And you got some moxie behind it.
Totally. And you're coming from a position of power then, not a position of, wow, I hope this works out. Or I just
Mhm.
I
Shot
just
in the
took out a
dark.
line of credit on my house.
Mhm.
This better work. It's just a more fun way to
Yeah.
take on business. It
And
really is. And so we know the author of Profit First, Mike
who is
McCallum.
it? Let's give
Mike
him a shout
McCallum.
out.
Yeah.
I'll show it too. Mike McCallowitz.
McCallowitz.
Awesome. Thank you for showing
And
it.
there's the first version of the book has a pink piggy bank on the front. This is the updated version.
Okay.
We've been to his home. He's a super awesome guy, and his staff are amazing, and they're so helpful.
Mhm.
So we are certified to do this. We pay a licensing fee back to the author, how that all works out. But I'm
Sure.
just saying, once we took Profit First and merged it with the business development process that I explain in my book, this is powerful. This is really dynamic. And
Mhm.
we now have all the money under control. We have a client we took on in January, and we just had our call with her this week. So I feel so much better. The money is under control. They actually had enough. They bought an investment property with the money that came from the profit account. And so it's like, it's all under control now. And typically what
Mhm.
happens is it's just a quirky mess in the finances. We have one client who hadn't filed taxes in 4 years. We had another client who hadn't actually updated the QuickBooks for 18 months.
Right.
So it's just like, well, the money comes in, and if there's enough money to pay the bills and I can pay my rent and my mortgage or whatever, then I'm doing okay. And it's not okay.
And a lot of times, like, it's just putting things in the right order. Like maybe like, the movies where they have like the green wire, the
Yeah,
yellow one,
exactly.
the red one. Which one do you cut? And you gotta
Yep,
reorganize them, and then all of a sudden the light
right.
bulb goes off, or you stop the
Exactly.
bomb. In this
Yeah,
case, it's
great
the
analogy.
bomb that doesn't blow up, and your business could be the bomb that's about to blow up.
Well, and without the proper cash flow management, I mean, taxes are unpaid, employees are making more than the owner. The owner sometimes is dipping into a personal account or going to the bank to get a line of credit to make payroll. I mean, and just so you know, it only takes 3 to 6 months to really flip that script.
reverse it.
Even, yeah, no matter how overwhelmed you are or whatever. So
Mhm.
we just have a very standard way that we approach any business.
Mhm. Something we talked about at the beginning of the show, I see you smiling throughout this interview and appreciate you being here, is you're having fun doing what you do.
Yeah,
The title of your book is Fun at Work.
yeah,
People can get it on Amazon, it's on Audible, really anywhere they can pick up an audio version. It's
yep.
available there. Give us a couple of the core principles that you haven't talked about yet in the book. Maybe there's just one thing you want to deliver for
Well,
us.
the one thing that I would like to talk about is you have to have a basic purpose for the business.
Mhm.
And the basic purpose of the business has nothing to do with you and your personal goals. You can say, well, what's the purpose of your business? Well, the purpose is so I can have a Ferrari. All right. That's not the basic purpose of the business has to be, who's my customer and what problem am I solving? That's the purpose of this business. And it kind of circles back around to what got me excited about dentistry is I saw my dentist on a Saturday morning helping a lot of people with a problem using some very cool technology. And
Mhm.
so just real quickly, and this is in my book, I came up with a template because Simon Sinek, maybe you've heard of him. He said, what's your why?
Exactly.
A book on that. All right. And then people talk about your mission statement and all of that. So I'm very happy if you want a Ferrari, but that's a result.
Mhm.
That's not the basic purpose. The basic purpose is, who are you helping and why? So, and what problem are you solving? So in my book, I have a template. Your readers can pause as this goes. So first of all, the basic purpose of blank, the name of your company, is to help blank. Who's your target market? Mm-hmm. So a veterinarian is to help cats and dogs. Right? Good. That's who you want to help. Who live where? In my county, here in Pinellas County. Who live in Pinellas County, right? Achieve what? Long and healthy lives and happy owners, for happy owners. That's what you're going to help them achieve. So my basic purpose is to help blank, who live in blank, and immediately you have your targeted market in your geographic zone. In those first few words, what are you going to help your customer achieve? Achieve blank. And then the last part of it is by providing blank. What are you going to provide? So I'm going to provide holistic pet health care without drugs, blah, blah, blah. And so honestly, you do that exercise, it usually takes 3 or 4 minutes. And like, oh my gosh, I did this exercise once with a very, very big business owner in Chicago. He'd been working on this project for 2 years and it wasn't going very well. And he did a seminar. I've got a whole 8-hour seminar that I do on my book. I had him do the exercise and he goes, oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 2 years. This is the most clearly stated purpose of why I started the company I've ever had. And so it's a very, very simple exercise, but I haven't seen anybody put the template together. So I'm a teacher. I'm a trainer. I speak not for people to give me attention. I speak so I can help members of the audience. So in my book, you get my book and there's a exercise that you can download at funatworkthebook.com for at the end of every chapter. It's a workbook. And when we're onboarding a new client, we just go right to the book and like right out of this page, we're going to do this exercise. Right out of this page, we're going to do that exercise. So for me, the reason I have so much fun is I don't take on anything that's not going to be fun for me. I don't have a basic purpose that is not fun.
Yeah, that's so important is to like, I feel like a lot of people get started. They love what they're doing. They love the arena they're in. And then all of a sudden different problems and obstacles come in their way. And all of a sudden they're 6 months, 6 years in, however far along their journey. And you kind of see it on their face that like that fun factor is gone, but they're doing a lot of the things that they don't necessarily want to be doing because maybe they're wearing hats they didn't anticipate on wearing because they don't have that extra expense to spend on the right people, or they're not turning down clients they really want to turn down because they're not the right fit, but they need it, and all of a sudden you kind of get stuck into your deal. I with the next 9 minutes, unfortunately, because I know you got to fly out of here. I got some more questions because I want to know more about you. I want to know more about Greg. You've been delivering us amazing content here so far. Thank you for doing that. But here's the deal: when you're not climbing the Matterhorn mountain, right? Yeah. What do you enjoy doing?
I've been asked that so much. It's not trite. It just sounds. I enjoy working, man. I played a lot of golf when I had my dental practice, and I became a partner in the dental practice management company, and I went from working 20 hours a week to working 60 hours a week, but it was fun. So I started a nonprofit called the Private Dentist Alliance, which helps private practicing dentists grow and expand their private practice through the nonprofit. It's an alliance of vendors and private practitioners. I just started another company last month called Patient Reactivation Solutions, which is another dental business where it's a call center to reactivate patients who haven't been to the dentist in a year or more. So I do enjoy going to the racetrack with my car. Cool. I've got a 2015 Corvette Stingray, and I take it to Joe over at the performance shop, and he puts on some racing tires and some racing brakes. And for $400, I can put a professional driver in the passenger seat, and he gets me around Sebring International, which is a 4-mile road course in Sebring, Florida, which is just a couple hours from here. And that's a blast.
So say that again. I think I missed that. So you pay $400 to get a professional racer in the passenger seat to educate you?
To teach me. He's my mentor.
You're in the driver's seat.
I'm in the driver's seat.
That's awesome.
And he's like, you want to enter the turn here. You want to be in this gear.
Yeah.
He says that my car will do 165 down the back stretch. I've had it up to 141, and that's all I'm comfortable with.
Are you a married man?
What's that?
Are you married?
I'm married with 3 kids.
Oh my God. So I'm sure
I actually had an opportunity to do that at Monza, Italy, at the Monza racetrack, which is the fastest Formula One track in the circuit. And I was in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
a $300,000 Ferrari, and I was able to do 175 down the straightaway there. It was longer. It was a different car. But at any rate, I really enjoyed that.
You play it down with your wife? Do you say like, yeah, we got it up, it was up there? Or does she know exactly what you're doing?
My wife knows exactly what I'm doing, and she loves me for it. She knows that she has to let me do this stuff because this is just how I have fun. But I swear to you, I wake up every morning. I've already got tomorrow booked. Tomorrow's Saturday. I already got tomorrow booked. I got my calendar booked. I'm going to be working. I'm going to put in 6 or 8 hours tomorrow, but it is not work. It is fun for me. Everything I do.
Purpose. It's your purpose. It's what you're giving back to the universe. I believe in that. Here's the thing. I'm going to throw this. It's not meant to be a curveball.
Go ahead.
If you can be known for one thing, what would it be and why?
Wow. For me, it's like I helped everybody I met. Like I talk about it in my book. If you know me, you win. That's my philosophy. If you know me, you win.
There's going to be a benefit that comes from it. It could be a smile. It could be a huge lesson. It could be you turned your business from 0 to 100K a month.
Yeah.
It could be whatever, but you're going to impact someone in a positive way. Big or small. The more time they spend with you, the bigger the benefit.
And then people will say, hey, could you help me with this? I'm like, well, I can't, but I know somebody who can.
Right.
I turned 65. I turned 65 in June. I've got 2,500 contacts in here, so if I don't know how to solve a problem, I know someone who can. So what I guess I would want my tombstone to read, so to speak, would be, he helped everybody he met. That's what would give me pleasure. Yeah.
Well, I see you're doing it, and I want you to know, you're doing that for me and my audience right now by being on the show, and I appreciate you being here. How about this? Let's talk to the audience. Give them a message. Leave them inspired to be brave and bold in pursuit of their dreams. What do you want to tell them?
Find something in your life that you are passionate about. Whatever you are passionate about, that can be turned into a business. That can be turned into something that makes you money. And I'll just tell you, at age 65, I should be worried about my 401k and my investment accounts and all of that. And, I have that stuff, but I don't care because I'm never going to stop helping people. And sometimes I help people for free. I'm not being paid a dime by the nonprofit, and that's a very big endeavor. So sometimes I help people for free. And then other times I'm going to help people and I'm going to get paid money. If you have a continuous source of income as an entrepreneur, you'll never have to worry about your bills. You'll never have to worry about your retirement. My mom is 89. Her Social Security check is $954. Well, fortunately, my dad was smart enough that before he passed away, he turned that restaurant into a gas station and a convenience store. My mom gets $3,200 a month from that endeavor. My dad was super, super smart. That's my mom's continuous source of income. Social Security just doesn't cut it. Right. So don't worry about your investments. Find something you're passionate about. Make it a side business, and then you can turn it into something bigger. So just help people, and you can exchange for free and do something for free, but you never have to worry about money if you're doing something you're passionate about, and people will pay you for your solution. So good, guys. Go back and listen to that again. I got you for 3 minutes, maybe two and a half more minutes. So last question, and it's kind of a 3-part question. So I always talk about be great and be grateful. You notice it in my emails, right? Okay. Gratitude is so important. The most successful people in the world wake up and go to bed in gratitude. It's a really important state of being. What 3 things are you most grateful for? Wow. That's going to hit me, man. I'm grateful for my family. Yeah. I've done some crazy things. I have done some things, and all of my friends abandoned me. Wow. Except my family. Wow. So I'm grateful for my family, and my family always backs me up. And, I'm grateful for the mind that I got, and I'm grateful along family. My parents were amazing. And so that set me on the right course. And I was raised in a very conservative Swiss religious community in Indiana. I'm grateful for my upbringing in that little Swiss town. So, I'm grateful for my history and the people that are around me that support me.
You know what you're doing, and I just want you to remind you, those are fantastic. I mean, family is so important, and the fact that you can have people turn your back and you still move forward, and you did that through the grace and love of your family and supporting you. But there's something we didn't talk about today that I think is really important, and it's part of a purpose. And I don't want to put words in people's mouths listening to this, but I'll speak for myself. It's about building a legacy. I have a 5-year-old daughter. I think all the time about what are the things in her life that I get to teach her and influence her in a positive way. And then also the financial backing of a legacy is allowing the family to live in a particular way where you're not always wondering how you're going to get pizza on Friday night and literally be thinking about every penny, where it can be more, let's go and enjoy the world that we're blessed to wake up on every single day of our lives. So I think what you're doing is you're building, and you've built, you're continuing to build because you love doing it, a legacy, and your family is blessed to have you just as much as you're blessed to have them.
It's definitely mutual admiration.
Thank you for being here, guys. Dr. Greg Winteregg.
Just one more offer. Okay. So first of all, everybody watching should go to Matterhorn, go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, search Matterhorn Business Development. We had 800 subscribers before we had to shut down in COVID in March. We now just passed 3,000. We pump out content, little snippets of content 3 times a week. And then I'm going to make a personal offer to all of your viewers. If you are having a problem in business, or you want some help, my email is Greg, Greg, at matterhornbizdev.com. Reach out to me, send me an email. I will personally reply to you and help you.
Wow.
So that's matterhornbizdev.com. And I want to make that offer to all your viewers.
That's amazing. I'll have it on the bottom of the screen as you're saying it there as well for our YouTube viewers. Man, personal reach out. I've never had any, I don't know if I've had anybody do that. Nothing comes to mind. So that was
my basic purpose.
Hey, we're recording this just a couple weeks before Christmas. So what an offer. What a great thing you're doing. And thank you so much again for being here. I'm going to give you a digital fist bump. Enjoy. Happy holidays. And thanks for everything you taught. Fun at Work. Guys, go pick it up on Amazon. Check out Matterhorn. There's so much value in the lessons that Greg teaches. Have a great one. Hey, you know what to do. Be great and be grateful.
Absolutely. Have a good one, guys.
I love you guys, and thank you so much for tuning in. Check out more show notes and information on each episode at mikeduppodcast.com, MIKED uppodcast.com. We're powered by Social Chameleon. You guys know what to do. Be great and be grateful.